Welcome to Mr. Storyteller. Tonight, we feast on fear. We gather around the digital table, not for bread and wine, but for tales that chill the bone and curdle the blood. We're diving into the top 3 most terrifying horror stories that took place during what should have been a simple, harmless dinner. Dim the lights, lock the doors, and settle in, because tonight, we dine with dread. Are you ready to hear stories that will make you jump at every creak and glance nervously at every shadow? These aren't just stories, they're warnings. Warnings whispered from the darkness, reminding us that even in the most mundane settings, terror can lurk. Tonight, we explore the chilling reality of haunted dinner parties, deadly dinner invitations, and cursed dinner sets. Get ready to be spooked. Get ready to question the safety of your own dining room. Get ready, for a terrifying dinner is served. The old Victorian mansion stood silhouetted against the stormy night sky. Rain lashed against the windows and the wind howled like a hungry wolf. Inside, a group of unsuspecting guests had gathered for a dinner party hosted by the enigmatic Lord Ashworth. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, a strange mixture of excitement and unease. Little did they know, the mansion held a dark secret, a history steeped in tragedy and despair. As the guests took their seats around the grand mahogany table, the first unsettling incident occurred. A wine glass shattered, seemingly of its own accord. Nervous laughter rippled through the room, but the tension remained. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an eerie ambiance. Lord Ashworth, with a chillingly calm demeanor, dismissed the incident as a mere accident. But the guests couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The second course was served, a roasted pheasant, its aroma strangely metallic. As the guests began to eat, a low moan echoed through the dining hall. It seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, a mournful cry that sent shivers down their spines. One guest, a young woman named Emily, dropped her fork, her face pale with fear. She claimed to have seen a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room. Lord Ashworth, his smile now strained, attempted to reassure his guests once more. He attributed the moan to the wind and the figure to Emily's overactive imagination. But the incidents continued. A cold draft swept through the room, extinguishing several candles and plunging the dining hall into near darkness. The temperature plummeted, and a chilling presence seemed to fill the air. Panic began to set in. The guests, no longer able to ignore the mounting evidence of the supernatural, demanded an explanation. Lord Ashworth, his composure finally broken, revealed the dark truth about the mansion. It was haunted by the spirits of his ancestors, restless souls trapped between worlds. He had hoped to appease them with the dinner party, but it seemed to have only angered them further. The guests, now terrified, scrambled to leave the mansion. But the spirits weren't ready to let them go. Doors slammed shut, blocking their escape. The furniture began to move on its own, chairs scraping against the wooden floor, tables rattling violently. The ghostly moans intensified, morphing into blood-curdling screams. Emily, trapped in the dining hall, witnessed the full force of the haunting. She saw the shadowy figures materialize, their eyes burning with an eerie glow. They reached out to her with skeletal hands, their touch icy cold. She screamed, a desperate plea for help that was swallowed by the storm raging outside. One by one, the guests succumbed to the terror. Some were driven mad by the relentless onslaught of paranormal activity. Others were physically harmed, their bodies bearing the marks of unseen hands. Lord Ashworth, consumed by guilt and despair, met a gruesome end in the very room where the dinner party had taken place. The mansion remained abandoned, a chilling testament to the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The night was unusually quiet, the kind of stillness that makes you uneasy. A mysterious envelope arrived at the doorstep, addressed in elegant, flowing script. Inside was a dinner invitation, promising an evening of fine dining and entertainment. The location was a grand estate on the outskirts of town. Curiosity piqued. The guests accepted the invitation, unaware of the sinister events that awaited them. The journey to the estate was shrouded in fog, the path winding and treacherous. Upon arrival, the guests were greeted by a butler with a hauntingly vacant expression. The estate itself was magnificent yet foreboding, its grandeur overshadowed by an unsettling atmosphere. The dining room was lavishly decorated, the table set with gleaming silverware and crystal glasses. However, an air of unease permeated the room, an intangible sense of dread that seemed to seep from the walls. As the guests took their seats, the host finally appeared, a figure cloaked in mystery. With a voice smooth as silk, the host welcomed them, but there was something chilling about the way the words were spoken. The first course was served, a delicate soup that tasted oddly bitter. The guests exchanged uneasy glances but continued to eat, their curiosity outweighing their apprehension. Then came the second course, a beautifully presented dish that smelled of decay. Whispers of doubt began to circulate, but the host's piercing gaze silenced any objections. As the night progressed, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and the temperature dropped, causing the guests to shiver despite the roaring fire in the hearth. The host's demeanor became more sinister, the once inviting smile now a menacing grin. The guests' unease turned to fear as they realized they were trapped, the doors locked from the outside. The host began to reveal the true purpose of the dinner, a ritual to summon dark forces. The guests were to be the sacrifices, their fear and despair the key to unlocking unspeakable horrors. Panic set in, but there was no escape. The windows were barred, and the walls seemed to close in on them. One by one, the guests were subjected to terrifying visions, their worst fears brought to life. The host reveled in their torment, feeding off their fear. The air grew thick with the scent of blood and decay, the once elegant dining room now a scene of chaos and horror. The guests were driven to the brink of madness, their screams echoing through the halls. Some tried to fight back, but their efforts were futile against the dark forces at play. The host's true form was revealed, a grotesque creature that thrived on fear and suffering. The guests' fate was sealed, their souls consumed by the darkness. The estate became a tomb, the guests' bodies left to rot as a grim reminder of the night's horrors. The host vanished, leaving behind a legacy of terror that would haunt the town for generations. The deadly dinner invitation became a legend, a story told to warn others of the dangers of curiosity and the unknown. The estate remained abandoned, a place of nightmares where the screams of the lost could still be heard. The fog that surrounded the path to the estate never lifted, a permanent shroud that hid the horrors within. Chapter 3: The Cursed Dinner Set. Once upon a time, in a quaint little town, there existed a dinner set unlike any other. This wasn't just any ordinary set of plates and cutlery. It was rumored to be cursed. The origins of this set were shrouded in mystery, with whispers of dark rituals and ancient curses. The first known owner, a wealthy merchant, experienced a series of misfortunes immediately after acquiring the set. His business began to fail, his family fell ill, and strange, inexplicable occurrences haunted his home. It was said that the merchant could hear whispers in the dead of night, voices that seemed to emanate from the very plates themselves. Desperate to rid himself of the cursed dinner set, the merchant sold it to an unsuspecting family. Unfortunately, the curse followed. The new owners reported seeing shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their vision, and their once happy home became a place of fear and dread. As the years passed, the dinner set changed hands many times, each new owner meeting a fate more terrifying than the last. One family even tried to destroy the set, but it was indestructible. The more they tried, the stronger the curse seemed to become. One particularly chilling incident involved a young couple who had just moved into a new home. They were gifted the dinner set as a housewarming present. From the moment they used it, their lives turned into a nightmare. They heard footsteps in the hallway at night, and objects moved on their own. The couple sought help from a local historian who revealed the dark history of the dinner set. It was said to have been crafted by a sorcerer who infused it with malevolent spirits. These spirits were bound to the set, feeding off the fear and misfortune of its owners. Determined to break the curse, the couple performed a cleansing ritual. However, instead of lifting the curse, the ritual seemed to anger the spirits. The hauntings intensified, and the couple began to experience vivid, horrifying nightmares. In a final, desperate attempt, they decided to bury the dinner set far away from their home. But even that wasn't enough. The curse had already taken hold. The couple disappeared without a trace, leaving their home abandoned and the dinner set unearthed. Years later, the set was discovered by a group of curious teenagers. Unaware of its dark history, they took it home. Almost immediately, strange things began to happen. One by one, the teenagers started to experience terrifying visions and unexplained accidents. The local authorities were baffled by the sudden rise in incidents. It wasn't until an elderly woman who remembered the tales of the cursed dinner set came forward that the truth was revealed. She warned the teenagers to return the set to its resting place. Ignoring her warnings, the teenagers continued to use the set. The hauntings grew more violent, culminating in a night of unspeakable horror. Thanks for watching, Mr. Storyteller. I hope you've enjoyed this unsettling feast of fear. We've explored the shadows, dined with the dead, and uncovered the curses that lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary dinners. Remember these tales the next time you sit down for a meal. If you enjoyed these spine-chilling tales, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more horror stories. Let me know which story chilled you to the bone the most, and be sure to share these tales with your friends, if you dare. Stay safe, and remember, you never know what might happen at your next dinner. The darkness is always hungry, and it's always listening. Sweet dreams, or perhaps nightmares.